Now with AI, to me, if you do get to the incredible capability, AGI plus, I guess there's three things I worry about. One is that a bad guy is in control of the system. And so if we have good guys who have equally powerful systems, that hopefully minimizes that problem. There's the chance of the system taking control. And for some reasons, I'm less concerned about that. I'm glad other people are. The one that sort of befuddles me is human purpose. I get a lot of excitement that, hey, I'm good at working on malaria and malaria eradication and getting smart people and applying resources to that. When the machine says to me, Bill, go play pickleball, I've got malaria eradication, you're just a slow thinker, then, it is a philosophically confusing thing, and how you organize society. Yes, we're going to improve education, but education to do what if you get to this extreme, which we still have a big uncertainty, but for the first time, the chance that might come in the next 20 years is not zero.
There's a lot of psychologically difficult parts of working on the technology, but this is for me, the most difficult. Because I also
Yeah, you
get a
have
lot
real
of
value added.
satisfaction from that. And it's like, in some real sense, this might be like the last hard thing I ever do.
Well, our minds are so organized around scarcity of teachers and
Yeah.
doctors and good ideas, that partly I do wonder if a generation that grows up without that scarcity will find the philosophical notion of how to organize society and what to do. Maybe they'll come up with a solution. And I'm afraid my mind is so shaped around scarcity, I even have a hard time thinking of it.
That's what I tell myself too, and it's what I truly believe, that although we are giving something up here in some sense, we are going to have things that are smarter than us. If we can get into this world of post-scarcity, we will find new things to do. They'll feel very different. Maybe instead of solving malaria, you're deciding which galaxy you'd like and what you're going to do with it. I'm confident we're never going to run out of problems, and we're never going to run out of different ways to find fulfillment and do things for each other and sort of understand how we play our human games for other humans in this way that's going to remain really important. It's going to be different for sure, but I think the only way out is through. We just have to go do this thing. It's going to happen. This is like now an unstoppable technological course. The value is too great. And I'm pretty confident, very confident we'll make it work, but it does feel like it's going to all be so different.
The way to apply this to certain current problems, like getting kids a tutor and helping to motivate them, or discover drugs for Alzheimer's, I think it's pretty clear how to do that. Whether AI can help us, go to war less, be less polarized, you'd think as you drive intelligence, and not being polarized kind of is common sense, and not having more is common sense. But I do think that's a lot of people would be skeptical. So I'd love to have people working on the hardest human problems, like whether we get along with each other. I think that would be extremely positive if we thought the AI could contribute to humans getting along with each other.
I believe that it will surprise us on the upside there. The technology will surprise us with how much it can do. We've got to find out and see, but I'm very optimistic and I agree with you. What a contribution would that be?
In terms of equity, technology is often expensive, like a PC or internet connection, and it takes time to come down in cost. I guess the costs of running these AI systems, it looks pretty good that the cost per evaluation is going to come down a lot.
It's come down an enormous amount already. GPT-3, which is the model we've had out the longest and the most time to optimize, in the 3 years, that's 3 and a little bit years that's been out, we've been able to bring the cost down by, I think, a factor of 40. So for 3 years' time, that's a pretty good start. For 3.5, we've brought it down, I would bet close to 10 at this point. 4 is newer, so we haven't had as much time to bring the cost down there, but we will continue to bring the cost down. I think we are on the steepest curve of cost reduction ever of any technology I know. Way better than Moore's Law. And it's not only that we figure out how to make the models more efficient, but also as we understand the research better, we can get more knowledge. We can get more ability into a smaller model. And so I think we are going to drive the cost of intelligence down to so close to zero that it will be just this before and after transformation for society. Like right now, my basic model of the world is cost of intelligence, cost of energy. Those are the two kind of biggest inputs to like quality of life, particularly for poor people, but overall. If you can drive both of those way down at the same time, the amount of stuff you can have, the amount of like improvement you can deliver for people, it's quite enormous. And we are on a curve, at least for intelligence, we will really, really deliver on that promise. But even at the current cost, which again, this is the highest it will ever be and much more than we want. For $20 a month, you get a lot of GPT-4 access and way more than $20 worth of value. So I think we're already like, we've come down pretty far.
And what about the competition? Is that kind of a fun thing that, many people are working on this all at once?
It's, both like annoying and motivating and fun. I'm sure you felt similarly, but it does push us to be better and do faster and do things faster. We're very confident in our approach. We have like a lot of people that I think are like skating to where the puck was, and we're going to where the puck is going, and feels all right.
I think people would be surprised at how small OpenAI is. How many employees do you have
About
now?
500, so we're a little bigger than before.
But that's okay. But by Google, Microsoft, Apple standards,
it's tiny. Yeah, and we have to not only like run the research lab, but now we have to run a real business and two products.
Yeah, the scaling of all your capacities, including talking to everybody in the world and listening to all those constituencies, that's got to be fascinating for you right now.
It's very fascinating.
Is it mostly a young company?
It's an older company than average.
Okay.
It's not a bunch of 24-year-old programmers.
It's true. My perspective is warped because I'm in my 60s, so I see you and you're younger, but you're right. It's 40. You have a lot in 40s.
30s, 40s, 50s.
Yeah, so it's not the early Apple, Microsoft, which we were really kids.
Yeah, it's not. And I've reflected on that. I think companies have gotten older in general. And I don't know quite what to make of that. I think it's like somehow a bad sign for society. But I track this at YC, and like the best founders have trended older over time.
Yeah, that's fascinating.
And then in our case, it's a little bit older than the average even still.
No, you got to learn a lot by your role at Y Combinator, helping these companies. I guess that was good training.
That was
what you're doing now.
That was super helpful. Yeah.
Including seeing mistakes.
Totally. OpenAI did a lot of things that are very against the standard YC advice. We took 4.5 years to launch our first product. We started the company without any idea of what a product would be. We were not talking to users. And I still don't recommend that for most companies. But having learned the rules and seen them at YC made me feel like I understood when and how and why we could break them. And we really did things that were just like so different than any other company I've seen.
The key was the talent that you assembled and letting them be focused on the big problem, not some near-term revenue thing.
I think Silicon Valley investors would not have supported us at the level we needed because we had to spend so much capital on the research before getting to the product. We just said like, eventually the model will be good enough that we know it's going to be valuable to people. But we were very grateful for the partnership with Microsoft because this kind of way ahead of revenue investing is not something the venture capital industry is good at.
No, and the capital costs were reasonably significant, almost at the edge of what venture would ever be comfortable with.
Maybe past.
Yeah, maybe past. And I give you Satya incredible credit for, thinking through how do you take this brilliant AI organization and couple it into the large software company. And it has been very, very synergistic.
It's been wonderful, yeah. You really touched on it, though. And this was something I learned from Y Combinator. We just said, we are going to get the best people in the world at this. We are going to make sure that we're all aligned at where we're going in sort of this AGI mission. But beyond that, we're going to let people do their thing. And we're going to realize it's going to go through some twists and turns and take a while. And we had a theory that turned out to be roughly right. But a lot of the tactics along the way turned out to be super wrong. And we just tried to follow the science.
Yeah, I remember going and seeing the demonstration and thinking, okay, what's the path to revenue on
Right.
that one? You know, what is that like? And in these frenzied times, you're still holding on to incredible team.
Yeah. Great people really want to work with great colleagues. And so like
That's
there's
an
a
attractive force.
deep center of gravity there. And then also people, I mean, it sounds so cliche and every company says it, but people feel the mission so deeply. Like everyone wants to be in the room for the creation of AGI.
No, it must be exciting. And I can see the energy when you come up and blow me away again with the demos, that I'm seeing new people, new ideas.
Yeah.
You're continuing to move at a really incredible speed.
What's the piece of advice you give most often?
Well, I think there's so many different forms of talent. And early in my career, I thought, okay, just pure IQ, like engineering IQ. And of course, you can apply that to financial and sales. But that turned out to be so wrong. And building teams where you have the right mix of skills is so important. And so getting people to think for their problem, how do they build that team that has all the different skills? That's probably the one that I think is the most helpful. I mean, yes, telling kids, math, science is cool if you like it, but it's that talent mix that really surprised me. What about you? What advice do you give?
I think it's something about how most people are sort of miscalibrated on risk. And they're like afraid to leave the like soft, cushy job behind to go do the thing they really want to do. When in fact, if they don't do that, like they look back at the end of their lives, they're like, man, I never went to like go start this company I wanted to start, or I never tried to go be an AI researcher. I think that's sort of much riskier. And related to that, being clear about what you want to do and asking people for what you want, I think goes a surprisingly long way. And so I think a lot of people get trapped in spending their time in not the way they want to do. And probably the most frequent advice I give is to try to fix that some way or other.
Yeah, if you can get people into a job where they feel they have a purpose, it's more fun. And, sometimes, that's how they can have gigantic impact.
That's for sure.
Well, thanks for coming. It was a fantastic conversation. And in the years ahead, I'm sure we'll get to talk a lot more as we try to shape AI in the best way possible.
Thanks a lot for having me. I really enjoyed it.
Unconfuse Me is a production of the Gates Notes. Special thanks to my guest today, Sam Altman. And remind me what your first computer was?
A Mac LC2.
Oh, nice choice.
It was a good one. I still have it. Still works.